The New York Botanical Garden was founded in 1891 and is designated a National Historic Landmark. It is on my list of top 10 botanical gardens to visit in the United States. Stepping through the garden gates, one leaves behind the crush of the city for sweeping landscapes, colorful flowers, and breathtaking historical buildings. Destined to be spectacular from the start, the garden was inspired by a visit to the world-famous Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, near London, England. Distinguished botanists Nathaniel and Elizabeth Britton were captivated by what they saw and learned at the Kew Gardens. They came back determined that New York should have a similar extraordinary garden that would be a leader in botanical science, house rare and valuable plant specimens, and teach the public to love plants. Fast forward a century and a half and come see while the New York Botanical Gardens exceeds those expectations. Strolling down Perennial Garden Way toward the conservatory, a charming herb garden is the first to draw visitors through its gate. Inspired by English knot gardens, the clipped parterres form intricate patterns. In the 19th century, British gardeners built cases like this to display delicate auricula primroses to protect them from the wind and rain. The herb garden path leads into the perennial garden. It is a series of garden rooms, each showcasing a unique color or seasonal theme in the style of traditional English mixed borders. Stealing the show on the opposite side of the perennial garden way was this stunning peony border with more than 150 different herbaceous peonies. Garden goers can use the bloom tracker to plan visits for peak bloom times. The peony blooms peak mid-May. The conservatory is the jewel of the New York Botanical Garden. It is a magnificent glasshouse featuring aquatic plants, lush tropical forest, and cactus under its dome. A tour of this Grand Conservatory is coming soon in another video, but here are a few things I wish I knew before visiting. You must buy an all-garden pass or be a member of the New York Botanical Garden to enter the Grand Conservatory. Tickets will be requested and scanned before entering. The grounds access pass for New York residents and the free pass for members of the American Horticultural Society do not include the conservatory nor the tram. And with 250 acres to cover, the tram is a useful time and step saver. It whisks visitors around the garden, stopping at every major attraction. Continuing alongside the conservatory is a seasonal walk with flowing grasses, bulbs, and perennials based on the design of Pete Oldoff, the renowned landscape architect whose designs can be found worldwide. He is a leading figure of the new perennial movement whose designs and plants combine drifts of perennials and grasses chosen at least as much for their structure as for their flower color. The original 2014 planting plan is displayed for gardeners to view and use to create their own new perennial garden. The Home Gardening Center offers inspiration and highlights the best new plants for the home garden. In the summer garden, the formal design features a symmetrical layout. Clipped hedges, brick paths, and a wrought iron fence add to the garden's formal structure, with a mix of bulbs, annuals, and perennials filling the planting beds. To create a shady woodland in the country garden, a limited palette of white flowers and green foliage along with a meandering path and flowing water contribute to a peaceful, contemplative space. The Daylily Daffodil Walk had neither daylilies nor daffodils in bloom mid-May, but the tall alliums created a whimsical walk to the library. The tulip tree alley in front of the library dates back to 1903 and is an iconic feature of the garden. Sadly, the trees that once lined this drive have experienced a natural decline. The ailing trees are being removed and new tulip trees are being planted. However, visitors can see the past splendor with this old tulip tree. The 1901 library building holds the most extensive botanical library in the Western Hemisphere. The sixth floor is open to the public and days and times can be found on the New York Botanical website. The Fountain of Life creates a majestic focal point in front of the library. Designed by Carl Teft and cast locally by the Roman Bronze Works in Greenport, Long Island, it was purchased by the city in 1905 for $20,000. Hundreds of varieties of daffodils are planted throughout the New York Botanical Garden. In the Daffodil Valley just a few weeks earlier, drifts of yellow and white flowers flowed down this hillside. In spring, thousands of azaleas light the hillsides in an explosion of color. The Azalea Garden spreads across 8 wooded acres and features hundreds of azaleas and rhododendron species planted beneath the trees. The Native Plant Garden 3.5-acre site has been the location of the native plant display since the 1930s. It was redesigned and opened in 2013 to feature a variety of beautiful native plants and to learn about their crucial role in the local ecosystems. This is a great place to get ideas for plants to use in your own landscape at home. These native plants are sturdy and adaptable and serve as a sanctuary for wildlife. Walking the path, the visitor observes birds, butterflies, and bullfrogs. One could almost forget they're in the middle of the city until the sirens and airplanes sound in the background and combine with birdsong and croaking bullfrogs to create an unusual urban symphony. Built in the 1930s, this is one of the New York Botanical's oldest gardens. The rock garden is enclosed to protect the rare and fragile plants. This garden has an intimate feel and blends traditional Alpine garden rockeries with a shaded woodland garden. This garden is one of the only areas of the New York Botanical Garden where boulders were moved and manipulated to create the landscape. According to the garden signage, in 1932 the garden's designers, staff, and workers supplied by the Federal Works Progress Administration placed nearly every rock in this garden using horses and human strength. The rocks were arranged to provide planting pockets, beds, and nooks for tiny alpine plants and to simulate high mountain growing conditions. Alpine plants are generally quite small, having adapted to stay close to the ground where it is warmer and there is less wind exposure. Trough gardens are an ideal way to showcase the smaller plants. These miniature gardens feature tiny jewel-like flowers and intricate foliage forms. Home gardeners can experiment with small plants in similar troughs to create miniature landscapes. The 12-acre Children's Adventure Garden encourages children to actively explore nature. There are many fun and engaging activities to explore and learn about the environment. Kids are encouraged to climb the boulders, pull up water from the pond, water the plants, and adventure down side paths to discover plants, animals, wetlands, and rocks. In this garden, kids will want to put down their digital devices and play. I recommend meandering through the shaded forest and upper gardens when the sun is hot and high in the sky or when you are ready to escape the groups of people in the formal front gardens. This old-growth forest was one of the reasons the founders chose this location when it was founded in 1891. It seems surreal to be walking through this quiet forest knowing it is surrounded by the city. In the distance, one hears the waterfall before they see it. The air cools slightly and the waterfall looms large from this angle. The waterfall is man-made. It captured the Bronx River to power the stone mill downstream. The mill was constructed in 1840 to grind tobacco into snuff. After the city of New York bought this property in the late 1800s, they lowered the dam and piled rocks to achieve the look of a natural cascade. The Edible Academy is a living classroom where children, families, and the general public can escape the city and dig in the dirt to learn about the food they eat. Some of the product makes its way into the menu at the on-site Hudson Garden Cafe. Across the road from the Edible Academy, a more formal garden showcases edible plants and this bottle tree garden art. Near the school garden demonstration area, this planted sculpture either welcomes or scares the visitor away. What do you think? Hands down, this was the most fragrant part of the New York Botanical Garden in mid-May. According to the signage, lilac lovers have flocked to the New York Botanical Garden to see and smell these flowers since 1896. A favorite in American gardens, this section showcases the lilac shrub's glorious forms, colors, and scents. The lilac garden path leads into the rose garden. Designed in 1916, the rose garden is one of the only remaining intact gardens designed by Beatrice Ferrand, and it was almost lost to history. Beatrix Ferrand was an American landscape gardener and architect. She designed about 110 gardens for private residences, public parks, botanic gardens, college campuses, and the White House. Only partially completed in 1917, World War I iron shortages made it impossible to finish the fence and central gazebo, so the garden was left unfinished during Ferrand's lifetime. It wasn't until 1988 that a garden board member discovered the original designs and showed them to David Rockefeller Jr., who then financed the completion of Ferrand's garden. The Ornamental Conifers collection features hundreds of conifers that do well for garden use. What kid could resist making a fort under this tree? And isn't the sway of these branches appealing? These trees were planted from seeds in 1950 and play an important role in New York Botanical Gardens scientific research. According to fossil findings, the species dates back more than 1 million years. New York botanical botanists use samples from these trees to study plant genetics and evolutionary history. The New York Botanical Garden offers restaurants on site. The Hudson Garden Grill provides farm-to-table fare, serving up innovative flavors of new American cuisine, including produce from the garden's acclaimed Edible Academy. The Pine Tree Cafe is near the entrance and features a family-friendly menu with sandwiches, pizza, salads, and a coffee bar. Stop by for lunch or enjoy a coffee and pastry to let your feet recover from traversing the 250-acre garden. Visitors may bring outside food to the New York Botanical Garden to enjoy at the Clay Family Picnic Pavilions. The garden's gift shop is one of the best. They carry a wide selection of plants for your garden, a garden book section that is more comprehensive than my local library, and garden gifts galore that you'll want to take home. If you plan on visiting the New York Botanical Garden, note that there are several entrances. I arrived by taxi from Midtown Manhattan and it cost about $50. If you are driving, there is parking at the garden. A second entrance is directly across the street from the Botanical Garden train station. Taking the Metro North train line is a convenient way to get to the garden. I took the Metro North train back to Grand Central Station for about $7 and it took less time than a taxi. You can purchase your tickets online. While in New York, don't miss the High Line in Manhattan. It is one of the most innovative public parks that gained worldwide acclaim for transforming an unused elevated rail track to a garden in the sky. Hi, I'm Kim, the Garden Travel Guide. Subscribe to get notifications of future garden video tours and kindly give this video a thumbs up to help spread garden goodness. I hope to see you in the next garden.